Part-2, Chapter-6. The primary deities in Aindra's room, quote, on the center stage, Sri Sri Nitai Sachi Sutta, came to him as the result of a rescue mission, or, as he put it, quote, I stole them fair and square. Longtime Vrindavan resident Dinabandhu Das and Pundarik Vidyanidhi Das had the neem wood forms of Gaur Nitai, each standing about 150 centimeters tall, with one arm raised, made for the ISKCON Vrindavan book distribution and preaching bus to travel throughout North India, displayed in a rear glass enclosure. But during an outing one summer, the bus was in a crash. The driver passed away, and the bus was towed back to the lot behind the Gurukul building. The deities were still inside, unharmed by the accident, but they were just left there in the wreckage for days in the scorching summer heat. When Aindra saw that the deities had been abandoned, he reacted with anger, then concern. He gave them water. With Bhubaneswar offered them food from the temple kitchen and performed arti. And when some days had passed without anyone else acting on their behalf, he decided to rescue them. So one night when everyone was fast asleep, he took them from the wreckage and brought them to his room. When eventually the bus was repaired and the book distributors finally noticed that the deities were missing, rumors led them to Aindra's room. Give them back, they demanded. Absolutely not, Aindra replied. They belong to the book distribution party, they said. Bring them back. Aindra furrowed his brow. There is no way I will ever give them back to you heartless people. You left them out there in the sweltering heat and forgot about them, so forget about getting them back. As it turned out, the first time the bus went out again after it was repaired, it was again in a bad incident, this time falling off the road and rolling over and over down an incline. It was completely destroyed, and if the deities had been on it, they might not have survived. For the rest of his life, Aindra worshipped and cared for Nitai Sachi Sutta faithfully and with loving devotion. Look at them, he'd say, my golden Sachi Sutta and my buttercream Nitai. They're so beautiful. I just marvel when I see them. He consulted them regularly and received guidance from them, both while awake and in his dreams. If I were forced to make a choice between the two, he once said, referring to Sri Sri Sachi Sutta and Sri Sri Radhashama Sundar, even though I dearly love Radhashama Sundar, and I would never have to make the choice because I'm going to have two spiritual bodies, one in Gaur Leela and one in Krishna Leela. But if push came to shove and I were forced, I would get a tight handle on the feet of my Sachi Sutta. He lay behind them every night to rest, and in the end, he surrendered completely at their lotus feet. One day, Aindra invited Bhaktisiddhanta Swami up to his room to see a recently arrived Govardhan Shila and a new arrangement he had constructed for his deities. A quarter of the room was now taken up by a waist-high tabletop altar made from plastered bricks and a white slab of marble, holding an ornately carved wooden temple with arches and domes. Quote, I got him from Punchari, the tail of the peacock of Govardhan Hill, he told Maharaj, indicating the new Shila. Giriraj is the topmost deity because ultimately he represents the love Krishna has for Radha and the love Radha has for Krishna. Impressed by Aindra's devotion and standard of worship, Bhaktisiddhanta Swami later returned from a visit to Nepal with over a dozen Shalagram Shilas from the Kali Gandaki River, a tributary of the Ganges in the foothills of the Himalayas, bearing the markings of different Vishnu avatars. and soon after, Lakshmivan, Aindra's old friend from D.C., who had just returned from a Nepal trek, brought several more. At the final count, Aindra had 2,240 Shalagram Shilas and 28 other deities, Govardhan Shilas, Radharani, the Astasakis, Gopeshwar Mahadev, his big Nitai Sachi Sutta, Janavadevi, and the small Gornitai, Srila Prabhupada, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who had been with him in New York. Hanging from around his neck, in a silver locket, was a tiny square Govardhan Shila, Vijay Gopal, to whom Aindra offered water and prasadam before honoring it, and who would accompany Aindra to daily temple kirtans, to home programs, on Parikram, and to the Yamuna and Radha Kund, Aindra bathing him before taking bath himself. Devotees would sometimes ask why Aindra was collecting so many Shilas. Quote, "I'm not collecting them," he replied. "They are coming to me and offering me the chance to give them shelter. How can I say no? How can anyone say no to Krishna? I can have only 2 hours with Shyamasundar on the altar, but that's not enough. There is no limit to how much blackishness I can have in my life." But Shalagram is not Krishna, someone commented. He is Narayan. Shalagram worship is no less Madhurya Mahi than Govardhan worship, Aindra said. It's simply a question of the worshipper's ability to accommodate the Braja conception of Shalagram. He told the story of Shalagram Shila's origin from the Padma Purana and the Brahmavaivarta Purana. For enjoying pastimes with Krishna, Tulsi Gopi was cursed by Radharani to be born in the material world, and there she married the demon Sankachuta, who, as Sudama, had been cursed to appear there and had conquered the demigods on the strength of a boon granted him by Lord Brahma, that he would always be victorious as long as his wife was faithful to him. Finally, Lord Narayan assumed the form of Sankachuta and seduced Tulsi in that guise, thus nullifying Brahma's boon and leaving Sankachuta vulnerable to attack from Lord Shiva. When Tulsi discovered what had happened, she cursed Narayan to turn to stone. "Because," she accused, "your heart is as hard as stone." And thus Narayan became Shalagram, and Tulsi became the river Gandaki. But who is this Narayan? Aindra asked. It's the same prankish Krishna, as only he enjoys Parakiya Ras, sporting with another man's wife. Our Gaudiya Sampradaya was founded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he pointed out, and the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan worshipped Krishna exclusively. If Shalagram is not Krishna, then why did Mahaprabhu appear in a dream to Gopal Bhatta Goswami and tell him to seek Krishna's mercy in Nepal, where 12 Shilas leapt into his water pot again and again? If Shalagram is not Krishna, how is it possible that one of those 12 Shilas became the Radharaman deity worshipped here in Vrindavan? In Shalagram worship, there is some important tattva to be understood, he continued, and we can refer to Hari Bhakti Vilas for the basis of our discussion. It is mentioned there that any Shalagram, regardless of external characteristics such as various chakras, any Vishnu tattva form can be worshipped in any Shalagram. Those who are Shalagram bhaktas, who have material desires, some may worship Shalagram because by worshipping a certain kind of Shalagram, one may get good progeny. But Sanatana Goswami recommends that a pure devotee will worship any Shalagram, even the broken ones, because he knows that supreme absolute truth is all good and that there can never be any inauspiciousness or auspiciousness in Krishna, that Krishna is worshipable in all circumstances, whether happy or sad. Worship Krishna. Whether there is a good result or a bad result is not important. The real principle is to try to please Krishna in pure devotional service. So anyone who will worship Krishna with that nishkam, pure devotional mood, is eligible to understand that regardless of the external lakshana, characteristics, the supreme absolute truth, Swayam Rup, Krishna, is within every shalagram. Some shalagrams, by external characteristics, may be ascertained to be a Matsya Shila, or a Lakshmi Narayan Shila, or a Kurma Shila, or a Nasringa Shila, but they all reflect various aspects of Krishna's personality. All Shilas were perfect, he said, but it took a special devotee to see this. Quote, from the standpoint of a Sakam Bhakta, a devotee with personal motivation, he told a visitor viewing one of his Shilas, there may be so many faults in this Shila. The Sakam Bhakta will likely reject this Shila or decline to worship this Shila because he will be thinking that there are so many faults, so many cracks, so many breaks, and because it's broken, he thinks it will not be auspicious to worship. But we should understand clearly that the Shalagram Shila is Krishna himself, and when Krishna says, Ye yatam mam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham, he means, as they approach me, I will reward them, I will reciprocate. So if someone thinks, oh, this is Krishna, but this Krishna is having so many faults, I will not worship this Krishna because I am seeing so many faults in this Krishna, it means that the Sakam Bhakta is not seeing Krishna. And even if Krishna is full of faults, he continued, a pure devotee loves him for his faults. If I will love Krishna, if I will love him without seeing his faults, if I will not see the faults of Krishna and love him for what he really is, as the darling son of Nanda Maharaj, the sweetheart of Srimati Radharani, if I will overlook his faults and see the essence of the truth about Krishna in this Shalagram Shila, that he is the same all-perfect, all-good, completely lovable personality, Shyamasundar Krishna, then do you think that Shalagram will not understand and notice my mood, my bhava, my service attitude? That I will serve him and love him in spite of all his faults, will not take seriously any of his faults, not think to notice his faults, not take those faults as noteworthy. Then I can hope that Krishna will overlook my faults, that Krishna will love me too in spite of all my faults, that Krishna will not take my faults seriously or consider that these faults are noteworthy. If I will only worship Shalagram Krishna when he is faultless, then what is my vision? If I will worship Shalagram only when I see that he is faultless, then I should expect that he will love me only when I am faultless. Actually, I am full of faults. If I am to think that I should see the faults in Krishna, and Krishna will also be seeing my faults, then what hope is there for me? I am full of faults. My hope should be that Krishna will see even one good thing about this wretched soul. If Krishna will see even one good thing about this wretched soul and magnify that good quality, then there is hope for me. But how could I think that Krishna will take that attitude toward me if I cannot think to take that attitude toward him, who is actually faultless in spite of his apparent so many faults? He worshipped even those Shilas that, according to Srila Sanatana Goswami's Hari Bhakti Vilas, could be detrimental to his health, acknowledging their danger but dismissing it in favor of their benefits. Quote, I have 2 red Shilas, which is maybe why I'm always having trouble with my throat and stuff, he admitted in a lecture, but it's a small price to pay for love of Godhead. By worshipping the red Shalagram, he said, according to Shastra, the result is that increased bodily diseases will come to us. This kind of Shalagram is to be worshipped only by Niskinchana Bhaktas, not by the Sakam Bhaktas, because by worshipping this Shalagram, you may get any number of diseases. But if the Nishkam Bhakta or the Niskinchana Bhakta will be worshipping this shalagram only with the aim of augmenting his love of Godhead, then he will consider that some increase in bodily disease, it doesn't say how much the bodily diseases will be increased, only that it will be increased. But if someone is worshipping with his heart and with the prayers to augment or to increase his love for Krishna, then he will consider that this increase of bodily disease is a small, small price to pay. He followed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's invitation to the Lord. Let him trample me or break my heart by never being visible to me. He can do whatever he likes, but still he alone and no one else is the worshipable Lord of my heart. After accepting one such Shila, Ayendra became extremely ill, and when he recovered, he picked up the Shila and admonished, "Stop making me sick. I've had enough of it. Please, if you keep doing this, I'll send you back. Do you want to go back to the Kalachandji and sit in that freezing cold river up in that mountain? Can't you just be happy in Vrindavan? Just think how fortunate you are. Do you want to go back to the Himalayas? I'll send you back, so just stop it right now." When a few years later, Ayendra was in Nepal to renew his Indian visa, a process that put him through extreme anxiety at the thought of having to leave Vrindavan, he visited the Kali Gandaki River himself. Venturing further and further upriver, he shouted, "Sham Sundar," but heard only echoes in reply. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, 2 Chinese soldiers emerged from a jeep and pointed shotguns at him. Apparently, he had wandered into a restricted zone in Chinese-occupied Tibet. "You are under arrest," they barked in English. "Get in the car." They took Ayendra to a security checkpoint where an officer accused him of being an American spy trying to infiltrate their territory in religious disguise. "No," Ayendra defended himself. "I am a worshipper of Krishna. I am a monk." "What is your mission here?" the officer demanded. "I'm searching for Krishna," Ayendra replied. The officer held up a map. "This map shows where you cannot go. You went anyway." "I'm simply trying to search for Krishna," Ayendra exclaimed. "What is this map going to do for me? What is the meaning of the lines you draw on maps?" Bewildered by the material energy, you think one country belongs to you and another country belongs to someone else. Everything belongs to Krishna. I'm Krishna's devotee, so I will search for him anywhere and everywhere. Your map means nothing to me. Eventually, the officer released Ayendra, recognizing that he really was a religious pilgrim and knowing that detaining an American would likely be more trouble than it was worth. When, in 1994, Ayendra was again in Nepal to renew his visa and ventured to the holy site of Muktinath, he was both saddened and angered to find shops in the town selling shalagram shilas to tourists and pilgrims. "This is sinful," he told the shopkeepers. The Padma Purana says that anyone who makes a business of selling shalagram sends themselves and generations of their family into the darkest hells. No, the shopkeepers defended themselves. "We have done nothing wrong." "You've done wrong by making Krishna into a commodity for your business," he chastised them. "You have no idea what these tourists will do with the shilas you sell them. They might use them to crack nuts. They might crack them open looking for gold. You are ultimately responsible for all these offenses." When the shopkeepers started to get worried, Ayendra offered them a solution. "Look, give me a few of your best ones. I will take them to Sri Vrindavan Dham and worship them there. They will be very pleased, and this will free you from a huge percentage of the sinful reactions you incur by running this business. A percentage of the benefit I get by worshipping your shilas in Vrindavan will be shared with you." Almost every shopkeeper agreed to give Ayendra a half-dozen shilas, and he returned to Vrindavan with nearly 100, adding to the dozens already in his room. He hadn't intended to bring back so many, but he had wanted to rescue as many as he could. He felt that he just had to help the Shilas, and any other deities he found in adverse circumstances, so he adopted them. The same thing happened in Vrindavan. When he saw shopkeepers in Loy Bazaar selling Shilas, he would reproach them for their sinful activities and offer them Mahaprashadam, or a donation for the Shila's rescue. He never had it in his mind to keep so many. That just sort of happened. With all the Shilas in his care, Aindra had to come up with a system to worship them. He set aside several primary Shilas to receive daily care and worship with Sodash Upachar, 16 items. The rest he arranged on gold-plated platters, and each day he cleaned them all, applied fragrant oils suitable for the season, bathed them in a gentle spray of water, offered chandan and flower garlands, and brushed them with a bunch of tulsi, having noted that Shastra defined the basic foundation of shalagram worship as a bath of at least 3 drops of water and the touch of tulsi. In the winter, when fresh tulsi leaves were scarce, he would gently tap each Shila twice with a tulsi twig. Quote, reminding them of my existence, he'd say with a smile, and thus he managed to give a little personal attention to each. They are Krishna, he said, who needs our love and care. No matter how many deities Aindra had, he remained faithful to them, was attached to their service, and hardly ever let go of them that he had begun to worship. Quote, he made a promise to any Shalagram Shilas who came to him, Ram Roy remembered, that you've come to be with me in Vrindavan, and any who come to me will stay with me. Devotees would sometimes come begging for Shalagram Shilas, even GBCs and other senior devotees, and with few exceptions, Aindra would refuse on that basis. Once, after Raseshwar had been begging for a Shila and had a series of dreams confirming that one should come to him, Aindra finally relented, but when handing over the Shila's care, he broke into tears of separation. It would be all right, Raseshwar assured him. Many other Shilas would come to him. But Aindra, distraught to lose the association of this Shila, couldn't help but express his love and attachment. Similarly, when a tulsi plant, whom he worshipped daily with devotion, left her body, he grieved, crying, "She left me," and kept offering her arti until a new one grew. Aindra understood that even if he served only as a go-between to help a devotee obtain a Shila, he was still responsible for the Shila's worship and would incur the reaction for anything that ensued. So he was extremely careful about who was an eligible recipient based on the devotee's level of training and experience and ability to provide them a good home. If he determined that someone was qualified, he would either arrange for a Shila to come to them, instruct them in the proper way to approach a Brajbasi Brahmin with their request, or give them one that he had received but had not yet begun to worship. Their transfer would be accompanied by a lecture, usually hours long, covering the proper mood, practicalities, and regulations of their worship, the spiritual significance of Shila worship in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, and the determination that the devotee must have to maintain that worship with love and care for the duration of their lives, often accompanied by a few days' intensive training. This is Tadiya Nrsingadev, he explained to one sannyasi who some years later requested a Nrsinga Shila. Tadiya means belonging. This Shila is Lord Nrsinga because it belongs to Lord Nrsinga, and that which belongs to the Absolute is non-different from the Absolute. Actually, that which belongs to the Absolute is an even better object of worship than the Absolute himself. Lord Shiva told Parvati that it is even higher to worship the Tadiya of the Lord than to worship the Lord himself. The The devotee is Tadiya because the devotee belongs to Krishna. This Shila is Tadiya because it is a piece from the gigantic pillar in the mountains of Ahovalam, said to be the pillar of Hiranyakashipu's palace from which Lord Nrsinga burst out. As you can see, this Shila has the shape of a nail, Lord Nrsinga's nail. Look here at the tip. See the red streak? That is the blood of Hiranyakashipu. So this is an Ugra Nrsinga Shila. A devotee gave him to me some time ago, and now I will entrust him to you. We are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, he continued. We worship only Brajendra Nandana Shyam Sundar Krishna. We worship even Nrsingadev in that Vrindavan mood. In Braja Bhakti we conceive of Nrsinga as the son of Nanda, Brajendra Nandana Shyama Sundar, the lion among young men, fearless as a lion in fulfilling his desires. So you see, we do not need to abandon the Vrindavan mood to worship Nrsingadev. It is not that you should take some mood of awe and reverence. The gopis also worship Nrsingadev. They see the essence of all the avatars within their beloved Shyam Sundar Krishna. In the Hamsaduta, Srila Rupa Goswami has written about a very special pastime in which the gopis address Krishna by the names of all the different avatars, giving a special interpretation for each name. The gopis saw Nrsingadev within their Shyamasundar Krishna, and we should follow in their footsteps and worship Nrsingadev as Shyamsundar. Radha Krishna worship, Ayendra instructed, is in the mood of establishing the intimate connection between the bhakta and the service of Radharani and of Krishna for those aspiring to enter the realm of Braja. Begging Govardhan Shila in the mood of him being Haridas Varya to please manifest himself in such a way that I can see by his grace the beautiful attractive form of my Lord, none other than my dearmost, dearer than my own life. In this way, it is a most intimate form of worship and the most elevated form of worship. Devotees generally don't start out with the most elevated, but even for sadhakas, the whole idea is that we have to intelligently pursue in such a way as to augment the attraction of the heart toward Radha and Krishna. So it is necessary that we hear the attractive descriptions of Radha and Krishna's forms, qualities, pastimes, dham, etc. And all of these have been given to us by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Govinda Lilamrita and by Vishwanath Chakravarti in Krishna Bhavanamrita. These books are meant for solacing the heart of persons who are actually beginning to experience the feelings of separation in terms of intense longing for at long last getting the direct darshan of Radha and Krishna in the Leelas of the Lord. These descriptions are meant for people who are damn serious about giving up the connection with this material world and all the foolishness that goes along with the considerations of superfluous external duties of Varna and Ashram and all these things, and simply focusing on going back home to Godhead. Forget about the rest of it, because the rest will come and go anyway, but eternal relationship is the mainstay. We can take or leave the rest of it, but we can't leave the consideration of abject need, the ultimate necessity of the jiva in the matter of getting prema, and being absorbed in the project of getting facilities in terms of Vastu City, or the realization of the substantial spiritual world with which to give a full expression to that prema in the eternal Leelas of the Lord. A full expression cannot be given in the sadhak deha while wandering around in the material world. Full expression is given in a siddha deha. So it is essential that in our worship of Govardhan Shila that we hanker and pray like madmen or mad women for the ultimate realization of our siddha deha. At least for starters, to be revealed to us, within and without, the true nature of our siddha swarup, which will in our sadhak deha be characterized by swarup siddhi, not vastu siddhi. But the ultimate perfection is to attain the eternal, substantial, Satchit Ananda Vigraha Siddha Deha and go back home to Godhead. The whole purpose of sadhana is to develop a selfless service attitude of a Brajbasi who is prepared to go to hell for the pleasure of Krishna. Let me get kicked out of Braja. Let me go to hell. Let me suffer unlimited anxieties and pangs of separation from Krishna, but let me at least be satisfied with knowledge that Krishna is pleased. That's real prema. That's Braja prema. The prema of other realms is Jnana Mishra. It is not Kevala Prem. Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma. It is Kevala Bhakti, Braja Bhakti, that our Guru Parampara wants to give. And as you deepen your bhajan and your nam bhajan, and become concentrated on the pursuit of that goal of our life, Krishna marks you, Radharani marks you, Rupa Manjari marks you, and they will do all the work. They will make all the arrangements. If you need a guru, they will give you all the gurus you need. They will make all the arrangements sooner or later for all the necessities for your coming to the end degree of perfection, because they want you to become perfect more than you want to become perfected. They love you more than you love them, more than you love yourself. Their whole intention, the whole purpose of the thing is to drag you back home, back to Godhead. But it would help if we become a little interested, at least run along. And that's called Raganuga, when you are a little interested in the affair and run along behind them, responding to their beckoning. Krishna reveals himself to a sweet-hearted devotee when you are non-duplicitous, non-envious. What is the adhikar for hearing these intimate topics of Radha Krishna Lila? It is the degree of freedom from this enviousness for Krishna as a supreme enjoyer. When you become free from enviousness for Krishna, then when you hear about how he enjoys the way he enjoys, and I'm telling you, he enjoys, it becomes so delightful and so satisfying. It pacifies us to know that there is reality to all that is reflected, an original prototype to all that is perceived in this material world, the disgusting debauchery of so-called men and women. If you are not envious, then when you see the original transcendental golden prototype of which iron is only a reflection, perverted, distorted, deformed, when you see the real thing, your heart will rest in peace, and you will feel so happy that there is real substance in the spiritual world that is not the exploitative, self-gratifying type of sense gratification in the material world. It is based on heartfelt anxiety to give pleasure to others, and Krishna has this heartfelt anxiety, and his devotees have it in various ways. There is nothing but that going on in the realm of Braja. That is Govardhan Puja, to be absorbed, meditating on Krishna's Braja Leelas. And the easy way to do it is to hear Braja Leelas while you are doing your puja, because you have time while you are engaged in that. It will take at least 45 minutes or an hour to do it nicely. And while you are doing it, this is your time. The rest of the time, you are bustling around, engaged with others for preaching. So how much time are you going to have? That is why I am doing puja 4 hours a day. Someone may think, how can you just waste 4 hours for your puja? I am not wasting my time. I am absorbed in relishing bhavas being transmitted by the divine grace of the predecessor acharyas in the form of this important Goswami literature. If someone were to take a Shila out of Braja, Ayendra instructed, they had to create a Braja-like atmosphere wherever they took him, and that was a lifelong commitment, more serious than family or any other responsibilities. Quote, you should always, at every step, have your deity in your mind, he told Radhika Raman Das, who had helped get him high-quality Japanese microphones and was one of the few devotees in whom he ever gifted a Govardhan Shila. Whether you were on Sankirtan or doing something for your deity, Your whole life is centered on him, all of your activities. The idea is that you want to do things pleasing to him. Puja means you are worshiping as a kind of formality. It is a formal process, but Govardhan worship is not puja, it is service. Service means that you are giving him the pleasure of smelling some nice incense, so you are offering some incense to him. You are offering a flame to him, which is representative of your own heart's love for him, the flame of your desire for his pleasure. And Krishna accepts that flame of your heart's desire. That's why you should light it with a tulsi stick, so that you are offering something that is worth 10 million of your heart's flames of desire to please him. And it will please him 10 times over by the grace of tulsi. He is so pleased, so happy with tulsi. You can hardly offer him anything, but when you bring tulsi into the picture, Krishna is so satisfied. He becomes satisfied with you because you are considering his pleasure in the matter of his relationship with tulsi. Therefore, while offering arti, we are touching the lamp with tulsi, touching the incense. If you touch any wood with tulsi, it becomes as pure as tulsi. So when you take incense and touch it with the tulsi stick, that incense becomes purified and more pleasing to Krishna. Anything and everything you offer, you should associate with tulsi. That's why you should chant on a tulsi mala, because Krishna is pleased when we associate our chanting with tulsi. We should keep tulsi leaf on our tongue so that he is pleased with our words. They are vibrated with this vile tongue, but because they are associated with tulsi, he is happy to hear such words. Similarly, when we offer water, we should place tulsi in the water, offer tulsi water to Krishna. When we offer bath to Krishna, we should place tulsi in the water. All this because he is so pleased with tulsi. So, as an expression of our love, we want to make the arrangements for him to be pleasingly associated with his beloved tulsi. It is a matter of considering his pleasure in everything and anything we are doing, he said, including the simplest, most practical aspects of deity worship and treating the deities in a caring, personal way as one would want to be treated oneself. Just like if someone pricks you with a pin, you will think twice about pricking someone else with a pin. So if it hurts when you get hurt with a pin, then you dare not prick the deity with a pin because you know that it is going to hurt and he is going to feel it. It will be more distressing to you to prick him with a pin than to be pricked with a pin yourself, because you love him. You are willing to accept any calamity to save him from the calamity. Before you dare to allow him to fall into distress, you are willing to accept even the distress of death. His pleasure is worth more to you than your own life's breath. You are ready to give up your life for him. When you take a deity into your hands, especially Govardhan Shila, you have to be prepared to give your life for his pleasure. It is not a light thing. There is no time for sleeping. You have to be prepared to give your life. That's seva, that his pleasure is worth more than your own life. You have to have that mentality. If you don't, then you are not doing the Govardhan worship, and you are not getting the benefit of it. You have to fully sell yourself out to the pleasure of Govardhan. If you adopt that mentality, then you are making advancement in Krishna consciousness by leaps and bounds, and you will realize your Guru's mercy. You please Krishna and became steeped by hopes and aspirations for satisfying Krishna and ultimately become overwhelmed by ecstatic love for Krishna, pouring incessant tears, thinking of his happiness, thinking of his distress, thinking of his separation. Even the thought that you would be separated from those deities should make you pour incessant tears. That fear is already there, Radhikaraman said. It has to be there, Ayindra shouted. If it is not, then I am immediately going to take the deities back and place them back on Govardhan Hill. I have the power to do that. He was especially severe with devotees who took it upon themselves to remove shilas from the hill, chastising them, taking the shilas, and having them returned to Govardhan. "It's a damn serious thing," he continued. "Krishna wants his sense gratification. He demands it, and it is our business to not only seriously consider, but act on his demand. He has the right to demand. We have to command respect. We can't demand it. But he can demand respect. He has that position. Our position is to follow his desires, serve his desires. And he demands your love. Nothing else will do. He doesn't want anything from you. He wants your complete 100% absorption in love to him. Love means seva, and seva means in consideration of his pleasure. That is pure devotional service. That is a pure devotee. I never want to experience the distress of hearing that you have allowed these deities to be unhappy," he concluded. "I never want to hear that. Just the thought of it." His voice trembled, and then he fell silent. Aindra almost always cooked for his deities himself, often, except in the heat of summer, a spicy, strong-flavored khichdi, rich with ghee. Matsya Avatar Das remembered, quote, "He had a standard 3 to 4 liter bell metal pot, took 5 handfuls of rice, washed it, brought it to a boil, then add chopped vegetables, green pumpkin, tinda, baby pumpkin, which he loved, radish, bell peppers, cauliflower. He loved frying things in ghee. Once in a dream, Nitai Sachi Sutta asked him for it, so he always tried to get the purest cow ghee possible, which in the early days wasn't easy to find, and he would use a lot of it. For his khichdi, he would just open a can and pour it right in. He would fry cabbage until it became brownish, which lent a strong fried taste, and potatoes, and sometimes he'd fry mung dal buri, dumplings, or some nuts or paneer, and the spices, asafoetida, cumin, coriander, fennel, ginger, and black pepper. In earlier years, he used a lot of green chilies, but later and during Chaturmasya, he was simpler, with just ginger, black pepper, and rock salt. And he loved offering achar, the mixed and ginger varieties, and using kushundi, Bengali mustard sauce from Mayapur. In another dream, his deities asked him for potato chips, so in Loy Bazaar he found these dried, raw, thin potato slices, and he would fry them in ghee, mix in some chaat masala, and offer them. During Chaturmasya, he used only a few vegetables, potatoes, pumpkin, and tinda, and during the summer he'd offer cold preps, cucumbers and radish, nuts, especially cashews and almonds, and dried fruits, and whatever fresh fruits were available, melons, mango, strawberries, and other berries, peaches, bananas, apples, oranges, grapes, and/or pomegranates, up to 1 kilo daily. And all was a sweet, except during Chaturmasya, he would offer milk sweets, sometimes sour rashberries, sour Cape gooseberries dipped in honey, or Kinau oranges with juggery brittle. Sometimes he'd get items from Brijbasi Sweets or another shop, milk cake, malai burfi, paneer, samosas, kachoris with chutney, or dokla with marinated chilies on top, as long as it was cooked in Vrindavan. And feeling bad that his deities were being deprived of milk sweets, during the months of Chaturmasya, he'd make a sweet from bura sugar, crushed brown rock candy, with nuts, dried fruit, and kernels of black pepper. Aindra wouldn't eat or drink until he had completed his extensive puja, given the deities a half hour to relish the offering, and then put them all to rest. And this didn't usually happen until late at night, so sometimes he didn't have anything until the early hours of the morning. After years of this schedule, he said, he could hardly even digest anything during the day. Though he bathed regularly and kept himself clean, with all Aindra's cooking and puja and the room being heated by Bhakta's stove, in the course of each day his body would pick up a multitude of smells from his surroundings and the oils with which he rubbed his deities, a distinctive mix of patchouli, sai flora incense, cow dung, wood smoke, musk, and camphor. He sometimes showered with his cloth on, using whatever soap, even dish soap, was available. Then he applied tilak made from a mixture of gopi chandan, radha kund mud, and dirt from his tulsi plants. Quote, Shastra glorifies all of them, he said, so I want the blessings of all three.